Hey friends, welcome to the Life Lessons series where I will be sharing with you some of the most intimate, deepest details of my life story and mainly the lessons that I've learned, because I think that through our struggles and through all the trauma that we have faced, some of the best learnings and lessons come from there. So I want to give you a disclaimer in some of these episodes, and I will let you know which ones. I may be sharing about sexual abuse or death, trauma, miscarriage, topics that may upset certain listeners if you have this kind of stuff that maybe it's still unsettled or undone for you, or you haven't had closure. So I will let you know when I'll be having these episodes, but I really just want to invite you to have a listen in and see if any of these stories can help you with your own personal life, and see where in your life have you faced some hardship, some trauma, something that's been hard, and you thought, how the hell am I going to get through this? And you did, and you found that strength and that courage and that confidence and everything else you needed, that grit, right, to get you through. So I really hope you enjoy this special series, Life Lessons series, and I will see you in the next episode. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Life Lessons series podcast. This is my first episode where I am sharing with you about my life in depth and in detail. And I think if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, we have been friends. We are close. You know a lot about me, and you're about to learn even more. I think this is the only place where I'm actually sharing this much detail prior to writing my book, and I definitely am going to write a book, but I haven't got there yet. And so I hope you enjoy it. And just a little trigger warning, a disclaimer: this podcast episode that I'm sharing has sexual abuse in it. So if you are triggered by that at the moment, then I highly recommend you don't listen to this episode. That's totally cool. You got to do what you got to do. So I just want to let you know that this episode I will be sharing about my experiences with sexual abuse. And if you're not okay with that at the moment, that is totally okay, sister. Just, go ahead and listen to another episode. So where do we begin with this? This is how I'm going to start every single one. Gosh. I think growing up with my mother, she was a single mother, and my dad left when we were 2. I didn't really have a father figure per se. My mom had a boyfriend who she was with for quite some time, and he was like a dad. But when they ended up breaking up, and when I first went into the foster care system is probably when all of this sexual abuse and sexuality was introduced. So I remember my first foster home, I think I was 2 years old, and I was in that foster home for quite some time. I don't remember much about that experience, but when I do remember the sexual abuse starting was when I was 7. No, I was 5. I was 5 years old. Wow, yes, I was 5 years old. And this is going to be a bit like talk therapy, because I think when we share stuff, more things come to us. I was 5 years old, and I was in a foster home. This was a pretty long time I had been in this foster home, almost a year. And there were many children in this home, many different, children, like older, younger kids with special needs. And there was a guy who was about 17 years old at the time, or 16. I think he was 16 years old, and I was 5. And he was one of the kids who actually was the actual child of the foster care parents. So he wasn't a foster child, he was actually the child, one of the older kids of the parents who opened this foster home. And when I say sexual abuse with him, it wasn't I didn't have any penetration or anything like that, but it was still sexual abuse. Like, I'm 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Like, you're a kid. And someone, physically or sexually molesting or touching you or making any moves on you, I really want to, I guess in this kind of example as well, validate the fact that, it's not okay, and when I was growing up, no one said to me, I'm sorry that happened to you. That wasn't okay, until I went to therapy. And it was so nice to hear that. So I remember I was in his room, and it was like this playing, like doctors or nurses. And I was 5 and I didn't know, I was really innocent. And it was mainly like touching, like he would touch me or I would touch him and he would be naked. And all of that kind of jazz. And I thought that was normal. I had no idea that wasn't normal. Maybe I was playing a game or whatever that was. But then from that instance, it opened up the world of, sexuality and the world of this being okay. And then I remember there was another child in that same foster home he was younger like me, and we had a bit of like touching each other, and he was like touch me here, and doing really, when I think about it now, it's really inappropriate for that age. And the foster parents were around, but not all the time, and I don't think they expected their own son to be doing stuff like that. So that kind of kicked it off for me. And then when I was 7 years old, my mom and her boyfriend went to Puerto Rico, and this is going to be another series, but basically my dad ended up kidnapping me, and I ended up living with my father, who, remember, he left when I was 2. I didn't know him, and he kept me in Puerto Rico for a year. So he had a wife who had 2 children, and her son again tried to touch me and get kind of frisky with me and like touch my body and touch like private places. That was not okay. And I was 7 and this kid was like 14. But I was starting to feel like this was normal. I was starting to feel like maybe this is what people do. Maybe that people, young boys and girls get together and they touch each other and they're just discovering. And I thought it was normal, but we never told anybody. And then when my mom ended up with this boyfriend who was a total douchebag, this was the guy who I knew. This is where the lesson comes from. This was the guy who I knew was really just... this guy was terrible. So there was this guy that she was dating. I don't know how she met him, but I remember I was 9 years old, and I would have my girlfriend sleep over, and we would hear them having sex because we were in the next room, and it was so gross back in the day, like disgusting. And we had already started getting into pornography and like, girls watching old pornography and videos and shit like that. So we were all into it. We were like getting into it. And I have a theory as well, and I don't know if it's true, but if you have been sexually abused, I feel like you're more open to being sexual. And I don't mean that like everybody is, but I masturbated when I was like 9 or 8 or something. Like, how the hell did I even know what that was? And I think it's because I was I was discovering my areas, I was discovering sexuality, and I am still such a sexual person. Like, sex and sexuality and sensuality is my thing. Like, intimacy, I love it, like more than my husband. I'm like all up into it. And I always wonder if it was because I was opened up to it as a child. Like, if that, I don't know, it's a bit freaky and weird. I actually don't have any proof, but I'm just wondering. I don't know if you have experience with this. Feel free to reach out if you do. I had another friend who was sexually abused, and she reckons that, yes, it was because, she was sexually abused as a child. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. So my mom's boyfriend, they would have sex and do all that jazz. And then this guy was really creepy. He would try to play games with us, like with me and my friend, like where we would lay down and pretend to be sleeping. And like he would tickle you and you would have to try not to get up. But he would touch us like in the vagina, touch your boobs, like your bum, like areas where you were kind of like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, and my mom told me when I was a little girl, I was 4 years old, she said, nobody touches you. If anybody touches you there or here, you let me know. Even the doctor, you let me know, because she was sexually abused. So my mom didn't play. She told me this shit when I didn't even understand what she was talking about. And of course I've told my children as well, because I'm like, I don't care how young you are, you need to know that it's not appropriate. So this guy was playing these games with us and touching us, and I remember he would wake up in the morning really early with a hard-on, with some crazy-ass sweatpants, and you could clearly see he had a hard-on, and just walk into the kitchen and be like, do you want some orange juice? And be like, come sit on my lap. And I'd just be like, no, that's wrong. Like, I knew that was wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, even at that age, I was like, this is not right. Like, this feels yucky. This guy's yucky. I don't like this. And I didn't say anything to my mom, and my mom would be sleeping. She wouldn't even realize. And my mom's bipolar, so she takes a lot of medication, and she was never a drinker. She doesn't smoke or drink. And this guy got her drunk one day, and she drank, and she got drunk, and she was literally in the bathroom vomiting, and I was in my room, and he was trying to touch me, and I'm like, fuck, like, my mom's drunk, she doesn't know what's going on, this guy's gonna fucking rape me, I don't know what's gonna happen. It was so scary. And I remember going into the bathroom and like trying to help my mom, and so it's horrible. It was horrible. And I'm getting emotional about it because I haven't even really talked about this. I haven't talked about any of this I need to, and this is why I'm doing this. And I want you to know that there are lessons, and I am going to get into the lesson and why, being sexually abused from that man at 9 years old birthed who I am today, and I'm going to tell you about it. So we're in the bathroom. I'm trying to help her vomit. I'm trying to help her get it out of her system so she can actually come back. And he lays down. I laid her down in the bed, and he's trying to touch my bum, and I'm just like, this is fucked. Anyway, nothing had happened that night, and then I think it was a week or so after, he came into my bedroom, and he had clothes in my room because my mom's closet was full, so he had his clothes in my room, and he came in with his underwear on, and it was the middle of the night, and I heard the door open, and he went into the closet as if he was going to get something. And then he came over to my bed, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? I'm pretending I'm sleeping. I'm squeezing my legs closed, and he's trying to touch my legs and putting his hand in between my legs and trying to feel me. And I'm telling you, it was the most disgusting feeling in the world. So it doesn't matter if there was no sex, doesn't matter if there was no penetration. It does not fucking matter. It's wrong, and it feels like shit, and it's fucked up, right? And I don't even know what happened. I must have coughed, moved around, did something. Oh, you need to go to your room or something. I did something. And I went to sleep. And the next day I told my mom. I said, Mom, he touched me. He came into my room, blah, blah, blah. My mom approached him. He started crying and saying, I would never do that. I wasn't doing that. I was just checking on her because she was awake and I wanted to make sure she was okay. That dude, that motherfucker tripped me out. I didn't know what was right or wrong. And then I went, what? Okay, I feel horrible. I mean, he played so well. He cried and cried and cried and played so well that I literally second-guessed myself. I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, maybe not. Will you believe this motherfucker? The next night came into my room again. Same shit. Did the exact same thing. I screamed. My mom got up. My mom fucking told him off. She kicked him out. She was like, you need to fucking go. Called the police. I think he got deported. I don't know. It was insane. And from that moment, after that, I was 9.5. I was almost 10 years old. And I was like, I'm done. No one is going to touch me. I'm not, my mom was like, we are, it was like lockdown. It was extra vigilant, extra aware. My mom was extra aware. And poor thing, she was sick at the time, and then she was okay, and then she'd be sick. So she was trying to keep track of what was going on with me. But, she did the best she could, right? Insane. And here's the lesson. I went and saw a coach. I had many coaches and many mentors. We spent a lot of money working on ourselves and healing all of our shit. And one of the last mentors I worked with did a process on me that I work with my women, and I do. And oh man, it was amazing. Basically, he took me to that place. He took me to many places where a lot of trauma and shit was stored for me. And that was one of my biggest at the time. So he took me there and said, I want you to go to that place. And I started crying. I was really upset. I was held, though. He was guiding me and he was with me, and I knew I was safe. But it was so excruciating and traumatic to go back there because I wanted to just bury it, And so I went back there, realized in that moment what happened and what was the good that situation had. It sounds so weird to say what was good about that, but I hope you understand what I mean, that what was the good thing, what was the lesson, who was born from that moment, who persevered, how did she persevere, and who was born from that moment. And when I thought about it, and I came out of it, and I went to writing on the whiteboard, all of this amazing shit came out of came off my hand and out of myself and onto the whiteboard, and it was empowered, vocal, standing for others, justice, literally who I am today, how I speak out and how I stand for what I believe in and how I defend others and how I do what's right and how I feel like I'm on fire for other people to be who they are. And literally that day, that was born. And I'm not saying that it was great that I was sexually abused, but what good comes from things that are shit? Because bad things happen to people or shit things happen, right? And for me, that little girl, that 9.5-year-old girl, she was fucking brave. She was strong. She was outspoken. She was like, fuck that. That's not right. You're not doing this shit to me. I told my mom, I opened up. I expressed myself. I communicated. It's what my top value is, communication. And it was born in that moment. In that moment of horribleness was born Erica, who you hear and see today. That was her. not standing up for what's right, fucking defending other people. I'd be tripping. I can't even let somebody cut somebody at the bakery. I'm like, excuse me, she was next. Like, I have that issue. I'm like, like, we need to look after each other, you know? And I know that that was a major part of it. And so working with him and dealing with these different things that happen and pulling out, well, what happened because of that? Who did you become because of that? Well, I became vigilant. I became safe. I became someone who was aware. I became outspoken. I became someone who was about justice. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about the moments or something. If this has happened to you, who did you become? Even if you didn't tell someone, even if you kept it inside of you, maybe you became more aware of these situations. Maybe you made different decisions when doing things and dealing with people. Maybe you told your children how to be. Maybe you have protected them. You know, there is good that has come from all of this shit that's happened to us. And my invitation is for us to look at that good instead of all of the horrible bad things, and focus on how bad and horrible it is, instead of focusing on, hold on, I grew from this and I overcame it. And if you're listening to me right now and you overcame anything hard, you did it somehow. And so I want to leave you with that, because I think that it is one of the most impactful things that we can do, is heal our story and figure out who was born and who did you become because of that. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to join you on the second episode where we're going to go deep into another portion. Thanks for listening.